Back in the Galactic Council chambers, Ambassador Zixathera finished her story. The Great Hall was completely silent. Every delegate sat frozen in their seats, trying to understand what they had just heard. "In 3 months," she said quietly, "the humans reduced our empire from 47 star systems to nothing. They did not just defeat our military, they erased our civilization from existence." Chancellor Vex of the Trade Federation leaned forward. His tentacles were shaking slightly. "Surely you are exaggerating. No species could cause such complete destruction in so short a time." "I wish I was lying," Zixathera replied. "But every word I have spoken is true. Our worlds are dead. Our people are scattered refugees. Our culture exists only in the memories of the few thousand survivors." Commander Krell of the Krillian Empire stood up. His insect-like face showed confusion and fear. "But how is this possible? You said they were weak. You said their technology was primitive. Their ships were smaller than ours. Their weapons seemed weaker. But we measured the wrong things. We looked at their technology and their military. We should have been looking at their nature." The Hegemarch of the Outer Rim Alliance, a large reptilian creature, spoke next. "What do you mean by their nature? Most species fight wars to gain something: territory, resources, political power. We fight until we achieve our goals. Then we stop. Humans are different. When they believe their families are threatened, they do not fight to win. They fight to ensure the threat never exists again." Ambassador Carol Wright of the human delegation stood up slowly. She was a middle-aged woman with kind eyes and a gentle smile. She looked completely harmless. "Honored delegates," she said in a soft, polite voice. "Ambassador Zixathera speaks the truth. The Veltar Empire chose to attack human civilians. They chose to threaten our children. We simply responded in the way our species always responds to such threats." "And how is that?" asked Chancellor Vex. "We eliminated the threat completely." The simple way she said it made the words even more frightening. Ambassador Wright spoke like she was discussing the weather, not the destruction of an entire civilization. Defense. Attaché Colonel Frank Miller stood beside her. He was a tall man in a simple military uniform. When he spoke, his voice was calm and professional. "Delegates, we want you to understand something important. Humanity prefers peace. We love to explore, to learn, to make friends with new species. We came to this council hoping to join a community of civilized worlds." He paused and looked around the room. "But we also want you to understand that our capacity for violence is unlimited when our families are threatened. The Veltar learned this. We hope no one else needs to learn it the same way." Commander Krell buzzed angrily. "Are you threatening us?" Ambassador Wright shook her head. "Not at all, Commander. We are simply being honest about who we are. We do not want to hurt anyone, but if someone attacks our children, our response will be swift and complete." "You speak of the destruction of billions of lives as if it means nothing to you," said the Hegemarch. "It means everything to us," Colonel Miller replied. "That is why we did it. The Veltar chose to threaten human children. Once they made that choice, their fate was sealed. We could not allow them to remain capable of threatening our families again." The hall erupted in shocked voices. Some delegates shouted questions. Others demanded explanations. But the humans remained calm and quiet, waiting for the noise to die down. When the room became quiet again, Ambassador Wright spoke. "We know our actions seem extreme to you. We know other species fight wars differently. But you must understand that humans have one absolute rule. Nothing, and we mean nothing, is more important than protecting our young." She walked closer to the center of the hall. "For thousands of years on our home world, humans survived by being the most dangerous predators on the planet. We learned to work together to destroy threats that were bigger and stronger than us. When the Veltar threatened our children, they awakened something very old and very dangerous. You are saying your entire species is insane. Commander Krell said. No, Ambassador Wright replied. We are saying our entire species is protective. There is a difference. Zix Thera stepped forward again. This is exactly why I came here to warn you. The humans do not think like we do. When we threaten them, they do not see a military challenge. They see a threat to their children's future, and they will do anything, absolutely anything, to eliminate such a threat. What happened to your home world? Asked Chancellor Vex quietly. Zix Thara's forearms trembled as she answered. It no longer exists. The humans used a weapon that made our sun explode. Veltara Prime and all its moons were destroyed instantly. 15 billion of my people died in seconds. The hall became very quiet again. Even the air recycling system seemed to whisper more softly. How many of your people survived? Asked the Hegemarch. Perhaps 3,000. Maybe 4,000. We are scattered across neutral space stations and refugee camps. Our language will die with us. Our history will be forgotten. In 50 years, no one will remember that the Veltar Empire ever existed. She turned to face the human delegation. All because we made one mistake. We attacked their families. Ambassador Wright nodded sadly. We are truly sorry it came to that, Zix Thara. We would have preferred to be friends with your people. But you made the choice to be our enemies instead. We did not understand what that choice meant, Zix Thara replied. Now you do. And we hope everyone else in this room understands as well. The council vote was held an hour later. The question was whether to grant humanity full membership in the Galactic Council. Every single delegate voted yes. Not one voted no. Not one abstained. After the vote, several delegates approached the human delegation privately. None of them asked about human military technology. None of them asked about human weapons. They all asked the same question. What did humans need to feel safe and secure? Ambassador Wright answered the same way every time. We need to know that our children can grow up without fear. As long as no one threatens human families, humanity will be the most peaceful and helpful species in the galaxy. As the humans prepared to leave, Zix Thara approached them one final time. Why? She asked Ambassador Wright. Why did you have to destroy everything? Why could you not just defeat our military and demand our surrender? Ambassador Wright looked at the last survivor of the Veltar Empire with genuine sadness in her eyes. Because, Zix Thara, your people attacked our children, and humans, when their children are threatened, do not fight wars. They commit genocide. It is not something we are proud of. It is simply something we do. But how can you live with yourselves after destroying so many innocent lives? The same way parents have always lived with protecting their young. We sleep well at night, knowing our children are safe. As the humans left the council chambers, the other delegates sat in stunned silence. Word of the meeting spread quickly throughout the galaxy. Within days, every spacefaring civilization had heard the story of the Veltar Empire and what happened when they threatened humanity. The official council records noted that humanity was granted full membership by unanimous vote. The unofficial records noted something else. No species has attacked human territory since the Veltar incident, and the truly secret records, known only to the highest levels of galactic government, contained a single line of text: Do not wake the humans. 2 weeks after the first attack, General Kate Thompson sat in the war room deep beneath the mountains of Earth. She was the highest-ranking military officer in human space, and she was about to make a decision that would change the galaxy forever. Show me the current situation, she said to her aide, Colonel Frank Miller. The main screen lit up with a map of human space. Red dots showed where Veltar ships had attacked human colonies. Yellow dots showed where battles were still happening. Green dots showed human worlds that were still safe. There were too many red dots. General, said Colonel Miller, the aliens have attacked 7 of our colonies. They've destroyed our patrol fleets in 4 systems. Our people are fighting back, but we're losing ships faster than we can build them. General Thompson studied the map carefully. She was a small woman with gray hair and tired eyes. She had spent 30 years in the military, fighting in small wars and keeping peace between Earth's nations. But this was different. This was not a war between human countries. This was a war for the survival of the human species. "What are our options?" she asked. "We can try to negotiate, maybe offer them some of our territory in exchange for peace." "No." General Thompson's voice was firm. "They attacked our civilians first. They made the choice to be our enemies. There will be no negotiation." "Then what do you want to do, General?" "Kate." Thompson looked around the room at her officers. These were good people who had sworn to protect humanity. Now she was going to ask them to do something that would make them monsters in the eyes of the galaxy. "Gentlemen, we are going to end this war. We are going to make sure the Veltar Empire never threatens another human child. We are going to destroy them completely." Colonel Miller looked uncomfortable. "General, that sounds like you're talking about genocide." "I'm talking about survival, Colonel. The Veltar made their choice when they attacked our families. Now we make ours. Over." The next few days, human ships began to fight differently. Instead of just defending their own worlds, they started attacking Veltar territory. But they did not attack like a normal military force. They attacked like something much worse. Captain Maria Gonzalez commanded the research vessel Deep Science. Before the war, she had been a biologist studying alien diseases. Now she was using that knowledge to create weapons that had never existed before. "Computer, show me the Veltar biological data again," she said. Her ship's computer displayed everything. Humans had learned about Veltar biology. Their blood chemistry, their immune systems, their genetics. Maria had been studying this data for days, looking for weaknesses. "There," she said, pointing at the screen. "Their immune system cannot handle this type of virus. If I modify it slightly..." 2 days later, Maria's ship dropped modified virus containers on 3 Veltar agricultural worlds. The virus only affected Veltar biology. It killed their crops and made their livestock sick. Within a week, those worlds could not feed themselves. When Admiral Kethvar received reports about the biological attacks, he was horrified. "They are using disease as a weapon?" he asked Captain Melandra. "Yes, sir. Our agricultural worlds are dying. The humans somehow created viruses that target only our species. This violates every rule of civilized warfare. Disease weapons are forbidden throughout the galaxy. The humans don't seem to care about the rules, Admiral." Kethvar was learning that humans had a very different idea of what war meant. To the Veltar, war was about conquering territory and defeating enemy armies. To humans, war was about making sure the enemy could never threaten them again. The next human attack was even worse. Engineer Alex Chen had taken a team of scientists to the edge of Veltar space. They were not looking for battles. They were looking for Veltar star systems that had no defenses. "There," Alex said, pointing to a star system on his ship's sensors. "That system has 2 planets with Veltar colonies. No military bases, no warships, just civilian populations." "What's the plan?" asked his assistant, Dr. Linda Hayes. "We're going to make their sun explode." Alex's team had been working on a new type of weapon. They called it a stellar detonator. It was a device that could make a star become unstable. When the star exploded, it would destroy every planet in the system. "Alex," said Dr. Hayes, "there are millions of civilians in that system. Men, women, children. They're not soldiers." "They're part of the species that attacked our children," Alex replied. "That makes them enemies." The human ship flew to the edge of the system and launched the stellar detonator into the sun. Then they left quickly. 6 hours later, the star began to collapse. 8 hours after that, it exploded in a supernova that could be seen from 50 light-years away. 2 Veltar worlds died instantly. Over 6 million Veltar civilians were killed in seconds. When news of the attack reached Admiral Kethvar, he could not believe it. "They destroyed an entire star system?" he asked. "Yes, sir. Both planets are gone. Everyone is dead." But those were civilian populations, non-combatants, children. Captain Melandra looked at her admiral with sad eyes. "Sir, I don't think the humans see any difference between our military and our civilians. To them, we are all enemies who must be eliminated." She was right. Humans had decided that the Veltar species as a whole was a threat to human survival. And when humans decided something was a threat to their families, they did not try to defeat it. They tried to erase it from existence. The attacks continued for weeks. Human ships appeared throughout Veltar space, striking at military bases, supply lines, and civilian worlds. They used weapons that no civilized species would ever consider using. Captain Rick Foster loaded his cargo ship with nuclear bombs and flew it directly into a Veltar space station. The explosion killed everyone on the station and destroyed his ship. But Rick had made sure his family's pictures were the last thing he looked at before he died. Engineer Paul Davis turned asteroid mining equipment into planet crackers. His machines could dig deep into a planet's core and plant bombs that would split the world in half. He used them on 3 Veltar industrial worlds. Dr. Helen Brooks created swarms of tiny robots that could eat through Veltar ship hulls. She released millions of them in busy shipping lanes. Veltar cargo ships would suddenly develop holes in their hulls and lose atmosphere. The crews would die in minutes. Every attack was worse than the last. The humans were not just trying to win the war. They were trying to make sure the Veltar could never recover from it. Admiral Kethvar watched his empire die piece by piece. His mighty fleet was being destroyed by civilian ships turned into bombs. His worlds were being wiped out by weapons that violated every treaty in the galaxy. His people were dying from diseases created in human laboratories. "Sir," said Captain Melandra during their final conversation, "we have to surrender. We have to ask for mercy." "Have the humans shown mercy to anyone?" Kethvar asked. "No, sir. They haven't." "Then we will receive none. We awakened something terrible, Melandra. We thought we were fighting a weak species. Instead, we found the most dangerous predators in the galaxy." As his flagship died around him, Admiral Kethvar sent one final message to any Veltar ships that might still be listening. "This is Admiral Kethvar. We have lost this war. The humans are not like other species. They do not fight to conquer. They fight to exterminate. Tell anyone who survives, never threaten the humans. They will end you." Within 6 hours of the first attack, every human in space knew what had happened. The news spread faster than the Veltar fleet could move. Earth Command sent out emergency messages to every human ship, station, and colony. The message was simple. We are at war. All civilians are now soldiers. All ships are now weapons. Protect humanity at all costs. On the research station orbiting New Boston, Dr. Helen Brooks was studying alien plant samples when the alert came through. She was a biologist, not a soldier. She had never fired a weapon in her life. But when she heard that aliens had attacked human patrol ships, something changed inside her. "Tony," she called to her communications officer, Tony Mitchell. "How many ships do we have in this system?" "Counting ours? Maybe 30 vessels, Dr. Brooks. But most of them are cargo ships and mining vessels. Only 3 are military." Helen looked out the window at the Veltar fleet in the distance. Their ships were huge and powerful. Her research station had no weapons at all. By any reasonable measure, the humans in this system should surrender or run away. But Helen Brooks was not thinking reasonably anymore. She was thinking like a human whose family had been threatened. "Tony, send a message to every human ship in the system. Tell them to meet at coordinates 77 Alpha. We're going to stop these aliens. Dr. Brooks, we don't have any weapons. How can we fight warships with research vessels and cargo haulers?" Helen smiled, but it was not a kind smile. "Tony, I've spent my whole life studying how animals hunt. I know exactly how to fight something bigger and stronger than you are." 27. Human ships gathered at the meeting point. There was the cargo vessel Big Sally, commanded by Captain Rick Foster. The mining ship Deep Digger, run by engineer Paul Davis, the passenger transport Starlight Express, where Captain Nancy Adams had just finished evacuating civilians from New Boston. Most of these people had never been in a battle. They were truck drivers, miners, and taxi pilots. But they all knew that the aliens wanted to destroy their homes and families. "Listen up, everyone," Helen broadcast to the small fleet. "The aliens think we're going to fight them like civilized people. They expect us to line up our ships and have a proper battle. That's not what we're going to do." "What's the plan, Doc?" asked Captain Foster from the Big Sally. "We're going to hunt them, like wolves hunting buffalo. The buffalo is bigger and stronger, but the wolves win because they're smarter and they work together." Over the next few hours, the human ships spread out across the system. They hid behind asteroids, inside gas clouds, and even in the shadow of planets. The Veltar fleet came looking for them, expecting to find human ships grouped together for easy destruction. Instead, they found something much worse. The first Veltar ship to die was the cruiser Swift Death. It was chasing what appeared to be a fleeing cargo vessel when 3 other human ships suddenly appeared from behind asteroids. They hit the alien ship from 3 different directions at once. The human ships were not using normal weapons. Instead, they had loaded their cargo holds with explosives and metal scrap. When they hit the alien ship, they exploded like giant bombs. Captain Mel Andra watched the attack from her command ship. "Admiral, the humans destroyed the Swift Death, but they lost 3 ships doing it. This is madness. Why would they trade 3 ships for one of ours?" Admiral Kethvar was wondering. The same thing. In normal space combat, you tried to win while losing as few ships as possible. These humans seemed to think losing ships was acceptable as long as they hurt the enemy. "It makes no strategic sense," he said. "They cannot win this way. We have hundreds of ships. Even if they destroy 3 of ours for every one they lose, we will still win." But something was bothering him. In all his years of fighting, he had never seen any species act like this. Most civilizations surrendered when they realized they could not win. These humans seemed to be getting more violent, not less. The next attack came 2 hours later. The Veltar destroyer Mountain Crusher was patrolling near a small moon when the ground beneath it exploded. The humans had somehow turned the entire moon into a bomb. Engineer Paul Davis had used his mining equipment to dig deep tunnels into the moon's core. Then he had filled those tunnels with every explosive device the human fleet could find. When the alien ship flew over the moon, he set off the biggest explosion anyone had ever seen. The destroyer was completely destroyed. The moon was cracked in half. And Paul Davis's mining ship, which had been hidden on the far side of the moon, was destroyed in the blast. "Sir," reported Captain Mel Andra, "we just lost another ship. The humans turned an entire moon into a weapon. The mining ship that did it was destroyed in the explosion, but they did it anyway." Admiral Kethvar stared at the tactical display. These humans were fighting like they did not care if they lived or died. They only cared about killing Veltar ships. "What kind of species does this?" he asked quietly. The answer came 3 hours later when Captain Nancy Adams attacked the Veltar supply convoy. She had loaded her passenger transport with nuclear missiles from an abandoned military depot. Then she flew straight into the middle of the convoy and detonated everything at once. The explosion destroyed 6 Veltar ships and her own vessel. Before she died, she sent a message that was picked up by both human and Veltar communication systems. "This is Captain Nancy Adams of the Starlight Express. You aliens wanted to know what humans do when you threaten our children. Now you know. We become your nightmare." Word of the attack spread through the human fleet. More ships joined the fight. Civilian vessels that had been running away turned around and came back. Cargo ships full of families dumped their passengers at safe stations and loaded up with weapons instead. Dr. Helen Brooks coordinated the attacks from her research station. She had studied predator behavior her whole life, and now she was teaching humans to hunt like the perfect predators they were. "Remember," she broadcast to the human fleet, We don't fight to win battles. We fight to make sure they never threaten us again. Every ship you destroy is a ship that can never hurt human children. The Veltar fleet was learning that humans did not fight wars the way other species did. When most civilizations went to war, they fought for territory or resources or political advantage. They followed rules. They tried to minimize casualties. They looked for ways to end the conflict with honor. Humans were different. When humans went to war to protect their families, they stopped being civilized. They became something ancient and terrible. They became predators whose only goal was the complete destruction of anything that threatened their young. Admiral Kethvar was beginning to understand that he had made a terrible mistake. He had not started a war with the human military. He had started a war with the entire human species, and they were all willing to die to stop him. The worst part was that they were winning. 3 months earlier, Admiral Kethvar stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Eternal Glory. He was looking at reports about a new species that had just learned to travel between stars. The species called themselves humans. Kethvar was tall and proud, with dark blue skin and silver markings that showed his high rank. He had won many battles for the Veltar Empire. His fleet had conquered dozens of worlds. Enemies across the galaxy feared his name. "Show me the intelligence reports again," he ordered his aide, Colonel Nextal. The data appeared on the main screen. The humans had one homeworld called Earth. They had built 3 small colonies on nearby planets. Their total population was less than 10 billion beings. Their space fleet had exactly 197 ships. "This is their entire military?" Kethvar asked. "Yes, Admiral. Our smallest battle group has more ships than their entire fleet." Kethvar studied the images of human vessels. They were small and looked fragile. The biggest human ship was smaller than a Veltar escort frigate. Their weapons seemed weak. Their armor looked thin. "What about their technology?" he asked. "Primitive. Sir, they still use chemical rockets to launch from their planet. Their faster-than-light drives are slow and inefficient. Their computers are basic. They have no energy shields on their ships." Another officer, Captain Melandra, stepped forward. "Admiral, our scientists believe the humans are at least 300 years behind us in technology. One of our dreadnoughts could probably destroy their entire fleet by itself." Kethvar smiled. This would be easy. Too easy, perhaps. But the High Command had given him clear orders. The humans were expanding into space. They might become competition for the Veltar Empire someday. It was better to deal with them now, while they were weak. "How long would it take to reach their space?" he asked. 15 days with the full war fleet, sir. "And how many ships do we have ready?" 50 dreadnoughts, 100 cruisers, 200 destroyers, and 300 support vessels. Over 600 ships total, Admiral." Kethvar nodded. 600 Veltar warships against fewer than 200 primitive human vessels. It would not even be a real battle. It would be target practice. "Very well. We will teach these humans their place in the galaxy. Send word to all fleet commanders. We depart in 3 days." 15 days later, the Veltar war fleet arrived at the edge of human space. Their first target was a human patrol group near a planet called New Boston. The human colony was small, with only 500,000 people. Captain Ben Rodriguez of the UES Defiance was leading the patrol that day. His ship was small compared to the Veltar vessels, but it was his first command and he was proud of it. With him were 7 other human ships, all doing routine border patrol. "Captain," called his communications officer, Amy Walsh. "We're getting strange readings on long-range sensors." "What kind of readings?" "Ships, sir. Lots of ships. They just appeared out of hyperspace." Ben looked at the sensor display and felt his blood turn cold. 50 massive ships had appeared near the edge of the system. They were bigger than anything he had ever seen. Behind them came more ships. Then more. "Amy, send a message to command. Tell them we have contact with unknown vessels." "Looks like a full battle fleet." "Yes, sir. More ships kept appearing. Ben counted 100, then 200, then stopped counting. Whatever these aliens wanted, they had brought enough firepower to destroy every human ship in space. "Sir," Amy said, "the alien ships are moving toward us, and sir, they're sending a message. Put it on speakers." A deep, commanding voice filled the bridge. The aliens spoke in their own language, but the computer translated it quickly. "Attention, primitive vessels. This is Admiral Kethvar of the Veltar Imperial Fleet. Your species has been judged a potential threat to our empire. You will surrender immediately and provide the locations of all your colonies. Comply, or be destroyed." Ben looked around his bridge. His crew was watching him, waiting for orders. These people trusted him to keep them safe. The problem was, he had no idea how to fight hundreds of enemy ships with only 8 patrol vessels. "Amy, open a channel to the alien fleet." "Channel open, sir." Ben took a deep breath. "Admiral Kethvar, this is Captain Ben Rodriguez of the United Earthship Defiance. You are in human space without permission. We request that you leave immediately." There was silence for a moment. Then the alien admiral's voice came back and he sounded amused. "Captain Rodriguez, you have 8 small ships. I have over 600 warships. Are you seriously ordering me to leave?" "Yes, sir. I am. And if I refuse?" Ben thought about his wife back on Earth. He thought about his daughter, who was only 6 years old. He thought about the 500,000 civilians on New Boston who were counting on him to protect them. "Then we'll have a problem, Admiral." This time, Kethvar laughed out loud. "Captain, your ships are toys compared to mine. Your weapons cannot even damage our armor. Surrender now, and I will allow your crew to live as slaves." "That's not going to happen." "Then you have chosen death. All vessels, open fire. Destroy the human ships." The Veltar fleet opened fire with hundreds of energy weapons. Bright beams of light reached across space toward the human patrol group. But something strange happened. Instead of staying together and fighting, the human ships scattered in all directions. "What are they doing?" asked Captain Melandra from her ship. "Running away like cowards," Kethvar replied. "Chase them down. Destroy them all." But the human ships were not running away. They were doing something the Veltar had never seen before. Instead of fighting like a fleet, each ship was acting on its own. They moved in wild patterns that made no sense. They seemed to have no formation, no plan, no military discipline. One human ship, the UES Retribution, suddenly turned around and charged straight at a Veltar dreadnought. The ship was commanded by Lieutenant Colonel Steve Parker, a man who had served in Earth's military for 20 years. "Sir," his weapons officer called out, "we can't hurt that ship with our guns. Their armor is too thick." "Who said anything about using guns?" Steve replied. "The Retribution fired all its missiles at once, but not at the alien ship. Instead, the missiles hit an asteroid nearby. The explosion sent chunks of rock flying in all directions. The alien ship had to change course to avoid the debris." While the alien captain was confused, Steve did something no civilized species would ever do in space combat. He rammed his ship directly into the alien vessel's engine section. Both ships were destroyed in the explosion. But the alien ship was 10 times larger and had a crew of 3,000. Steve's ship only had 50 people on board. "Admiral," reported Captain Melandra, "the humans are fighting strangely. They're not following any known tactics. They seem to be treating their own ships as weapons." Kethvar watched his sensor displays with growing confusion. The humans were losing ships, but they were making each loss cost the Veltar dearly. They used their ships as bombs. They hid behind asteroids and ambushed single Veltar vessels. They even used damaged ships to ram into his cruisers. "This makes no sense," he said. "Why would they waste their lives like this? Why don't they just surrender?" What Admiral Kethvar did not understand was that he had made a terrible mistake. He had threatened human civilians. He had attacked human families. And when humans believe their children are in danger, they stop thinking like civilized beings. They start thinking like predators. The Great Hall of the Galactic Council was huge. It could hold thousands of beings from different worlds. Today, it was packed. Representatives from 12 major space empires sat in their special seats. Each group looked different. Some had scales, others had fur. Some breathed different air and sat in glass boxes. But they all came here for the same reason. They wanted to hear about the humans. Ambassador Zixathara walked slowly to the center of the hall. She was tall and thin, with purple skin and 4 arms. Her people were the Veltar, or they used to be. Now there were very few of them left. 3 months ago, the Veltar Empire was one of the strongest in the galaxy. They had 47 star systems under their control. They had thousands of warships, millions of soldiers, planets full of weapons factories. Everyone feared them. Now Zixathara was almost the only one left to speak for her people. She stopped in the middle of the hall and looked around. Every eye was on her. Some beings leaned forward to hear better. Others whispered to each other. The room became quiet. "Members of the Galactic Council," she said. Her voice was sad and tired. "I stand before you today not as a conqueror, not as a leader of a great empire. I stand here as a survivor, as someone who has seen the end of everything my people built." One section of the hall, the human delegation, sat quietly. There were only 3 of them. Commander Jake Morrison wore a simple blue uniform. Next to him sat Lisa Carter, a woman with short brown hair and kind eyes. The 3rd human was a young man named Peter Blake who took notes on a small device. The humans looked ordinary. They were not very tall or very strong. They did not have claws or sharp teeth. They looked soft compared to the other beings in the hall. Many of the other delegates had already decided that humans were not important. 3 standard months ago, Zixathara continued, my empire controlled 47 star systems. We had the biggest fleet in this part of the galaxy. Our weapons could destroy planets. Our armies had never lost a war. She paused and looked directly at the human section. Today, my people are extinct as a space power. Our worlds are empty. Our fleets are destroyed. And it is all because we made one terrible mistake. Commander Krell of the Krillian Empire stood up. He was a large insect-like creature with razor-sharp claws. His people were known for being fierce warriors. What mistake could destroy such a powerful empire? He asked. His voice buzzed like an angry bee. Zixathara turned to face him. We attacked the humans. Several delegates laughed. The sound echoed through the hall. How could such small, weak-looking creatures destroy the mighty Veltar Empire? You are joking, said General Thak of the Mordian Republic. He was covered in thick armor and had tusks like a wild boar. Look at them. They are tiny. They have no claws, no natural weapons. Their ships are smaller than our cargo vessels. That, Zixathara said quietly, is exactly what we thought. The laughter stopped. Something in her voice made everyone listen more carefully. When our scouts first found the human worlds, we laughed too. They had only recently learned to travel between stars. They had built only 3 small colonies beyond their home world. Their entire fleet was fewer than 200 ships. She walked closer to the human delegation. Jake Morrison watched her calmly. He did not look worried or afraid. Our generals said the humans were insects that needed to be stepped on before they became annoying. Our admirals said one battle group could destroy their entire civilization. Our scientists said their technology was hundreds of years behind ours. And they were right, were they not? Asked Chancellor Vex of the Trade Federation. He was a round creature with many tentacles. Surely their analysis was correct. Zixathara shook her head slowly. No, they were completely wrong, because they measured the wrong things. She turned back to face the entire assembly. We measured their ships and found them small. We measured their weapons and found them weak. We measured their technology and found it simple. But we never measured the one thing that mattered most. Which was asked someone from the back of the hall. Their will to survive, their determination to protect what they love, their ability to become something terrible when threatened. The hall became very quiet. Even the air recycling systems seemed to whisper more softly. "I am here today to give you all a warning," Zixthara said. "Do not attack the humans. Do not threaten them. Do not try to conquer them, because if you do, they will not just defeat you. They will erase you from existence." Commander Krell laughed again, but this time he sounded less sure. "Come now, how could such a small species destroy your empire? What weapons do they have that we should fear?" Zixthara looked at him with eyes that had seen too much death. "They have the most dangerous weapon in the galaxy. They have the ability to stop being civilized." Lisa Carter leaned forward slightly. She had been quiet until now, but something in the aliens' words caught her attention. "When we attacked their colonies," Zixthara continued, "we expected them to surrender quickly. When we destroyed their patrol ships, we expected them to ask for mercy. When we demanded they give us their territory, we expected them to negotiate." She paused and looked around the room. Instead, they did something no other species has ever done. They declared that we had chosen to be their enemies, and then they acted like it. "What do you mean?" asked Chancellor Vex. "They stopped treating us like people. They stopped following the rules of civilized war. They stopped caring about anything except making sure we could never threaten them again." Jake Morrison stood up slowly. All eyes turned to him. When he spoke, his voice was calm and polite. "Honored delegates," he said, "Ambassador Zixthara speaks the truth. The Veltar Empire chose to attack human civilians. They chose to threaten our families and our children. We simply responded appropriately." "Appropriately?" Commander Krell buzzed angrily. "You destroyed an entire civilization." Jake Morrison nodded. "Yes, we did, because they threatened our children's future, and humans take that very seriously." The hall erupted in shocked voices. Some delegates shouted questions, others demanded explanations, but Jake Morrison just sat down calmly, as if discussing the weather. Zixthara raised her forearms for quiet. "This is why I am here. This is why I risk my life to give you this warning. The humans are not like us. When we fight wars, we fight to win territory or resources or pride. When humans fight wars, they fight to make sure the threat never exists again." She looked around the room one more time. "Learn from our mistake. Do not attack the humans, because they will reduce your empire to ashes, just as they reduced ours.